Hello, Year 2. So today we're going to be continuing our learning around India. And today we're going to be thinking about how we can compare India to the UK. So we're going to be thinking about what is the same and what is different about these two different places. But before we start, I'm going to give you a quick 30 seconds and I'd like you to see if you can think back to last lesson. What did we think about last lesson? We looked at the different purposes of a river. Can you either have a think to yourself or tell somebody in the room with you? What were the different purposes of the River Ganges, which we looked at, and the purposes of the River Severn? Okay, so hopefully you mentioned that they both had cities or towns, they had bridges around them, they could have different buildings as well. Lots of them had paths going along next to the river. And some of the differences which we looked at last lesson were how in India, lots of people believe that the River Ganges is sacred and will therefore choose to bathe in the Ganges. Whereas in the River Severn, that's not something we would see. So we looked at the different similarities and differences of the river. But today we're going to widen that and we're going to be looking at the similarities and differences in the countries at a much bigger scale. So we're going to start off by looking at these two pictures here. So we know that both of these pictures are flags. And this here is the flag of England, the one with the blue, white and red. And this is the flag of India, the orange, white and green flag. And flags are national symbols. Every country has their own specific flag as their national symbol. So one thing that is different is we both have our own national flags. We can see they both have got white on them. They've both got a little bit of blue, but they also have some different colours too. Another difference is each country has their own capital city. And a capital city, as we know, we talked about it before, does not have to be the biggest city in the country. So it's just a city, but it doesn't have to be the biggest city. And this is where a lot of government work takes place and where lots of very important meetings take place. Now, in year 1, you would have learnt about England's capital city. Can you remember what it's called? Here's the picture of England's capital city. It's called London. So our capital city is London. And when we looked at our map yesterday of India, we know that the capital city of India is New Delhi. So we have different capital cities. This time we've got some pictures of some famous buildings. Can you remember the names of this famous building? We've looked at this one a lot. Where is this famous building? Which country? Well done. We know that this is a famous building in India and it's called the Taj Mahal. And we have done a lot of learning about the Taj Mahal already. We know it's a very significant building in India. And we know that it was built a long time ago and it was built in memory of a very important person in India. And then this here is a famous building in London, our capital city, and it is Big Ben. So we have got different famous buildings. Here we've got two different pictures of some animals. And these are the national animals of both countries. Can you take a guess which one you think is our national animal and which is India's national animal? See if you can pause the video and have a guess which one is which. Okay, so the tiger is the national animal of India, and that is because tigers are found across 17 states in India. And it's thought that tigers are agile and they show great strength. And that is why a tiger is the national animal of India. And for similar reasons, our national animal is a lion, because a lion is thought to show great courage and strength as well. So national animals express a lot about a country. and their values. Next, like with the national animals, we also have national birds. And again, this can say a lot about a country. We have looked at the national bird of India before. Can you remember which one it is? It's the peacock. So the peacock is India's national bird because of its rich and religious involvement with Indian tradition. And in class, we've had a look at peacock feathers, haven't we? We talked a lot about the different colours we could see, and we had a go at making our own peacocks. And then our national bird is a robin. Next, like with the animals, we also have our own national flowers. So the national flower of England is the rose. Can you point to the picture of which flower you think is the rose? So here is the red rose, and it has been chosen as our emblem to represent our country because of its significance during the time of a war known as the Wars of the Roses. And that is why our national flower is a rose. And India's national flower is the lotus flower, which we can see here, and we can see some lily pads around the outside. And it is a sacred flower in India because of its unique position in the art and mythology of ancient India, so with their ancient traditions, and that is why the lotus has been chosen as their national flower. Another comparison is a picture of these two rivers. Can you remember the name of these two rivers? We have looked at them both now in a lot of detail. Which river do you think is in the UK? And which river do you think is in India, and why? See if you can pause the video and explain to somebody. So we know that this here is the River Severn, and we know the River Severn is the longest river in England, and we're lucky enough to have this river flowing through our county of South Gloucestershire. And then the longest river in India is the Ganges, which we looked at last lesson. So we both have different rivers in our countries. Next, we move on to looking at types of sport. So we know that in the UK, we're very well known for playing a lot of football. And it seems like it's a very popular sport in our country. Whereas in India, one of the most popular sports is cricket. And India has in fact hosted and won many cricket World Cups. So that is another difference about the different types of sports. It doesn't mean that we don't play cricket, because we do, and we have cricket teams. And it doesn't mean that India doesn't play football. It's just down to what is the most popular sport in each country. Next, we move on to types of meals that we might eat in both of these countries. So one of the most traditional meals in England is a roast dinner. And that is because traditionally this meal was eaten on a Sunday after going to church. And in India, there is a variety of Indian cuisine. And in school, we have tried foods such as the naan breads. We tried some onion bhajis and samosas. And in India, they also eat a lot of rice. So that is another difference about what food you typically find in those countries. So we're also very well known, especially if you're by the seaside in our country, for also eating fish and chips. Then we move on to types of transport. So here we've got some pictures of some transport that you would typically find in India. But India do have methods of transport very similar to ours. So they do have cars, they have lorries, trains, planes and bikes, just like we do. But they also have some transport that we wouldn't usually see here, like we can see in the pictures. So this here and this picture here is what is called as a tuk-tuk. And usually these have 3 wheels. They're motorised, so you don't always have to pedal. So this is a motorised version, whereas this is one where you would pedal. So the person at the front would pedal to transport people around. We can see some trains, a school bus, and then traditionally, not so much now, but people would also ride on elephants. And then we've got our types of transport in the UK. So our buses look slightly different. We've got motorways, trains, and then travelling by boat as well. So we've had a little look at some of the similarities and differences. So your activity today is you are going to have some sorting circles and some pictures. So I can see the pictures on the screen here. And you're also going to have 2 sorting circles to sort the pictures into. So you're going to sort the pictures which are showing places or things in India, and then you're going to sort the same into the UK. And that is your activity today. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about the similarities and differences between the UK and India. Enjoy the activity, and we'll be back tomorrow for some more learning. Bye!